My name's Aniya. I'm 19. I work in wholesale and I sell content of my toes.
Do you guys think dating is harder for men or for women?
Actually, I do think it's harder for women majority of the time. I only think that it's harder for women because they get attached like easily. Guys aren't straight up at all.
Guys aren't straight up?
Guys are not straightforward whatsoever. After the podcast, it was mostly just a lot of backlash from guy friends that I had. Most of them were upset about things that I had said or things that had happened with Nathan. Why is it okay for you to go sleep around with everyone else?
Because it's harder for me.
And stick your, obviously not. Because I mean, I got 3 and you got 44.
It's easy for her.
So it must be just as easy for you. And even if it is easier or harder for me, it doesn't matter. Because the moment that if I came up to you and told you, hey, I got like 40 to 50 bodies, you'd be like, Grandma, she's ran through. But your just ass ran through. Exactly. But nobody says anything.
No, he's not ran through. He's the one running through.
Nathan is going to be the guy in the red shirt from episode 54. He's now my husband.
You hooked up with Nathan yesterday.
It was late. It was late. I was drunk and I was horny.
What was the period of time that elapsed until his penis was inside?
Maybe 45 to an hour.
And your body count is 3?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Dude, do you know that when I pulled up to his house, bro came outside with no clothes on?
He's the Rizzler.
Like,
he's the fucking Rizzler. He's the
Yo.
Why is it okay for you to go sleep around with everyone else?
Because it's harder for me.
And stick your, obviously not. Because I mean, I got 3 and you got 44.
It's easy
so
for
it
her.
must be just as easy for you. And even
Okay. Do you still think it's harder for women?
I don't think it's harder for anybody. In 2024, anybody can have sex with anybody. I don't think it's harder for either one.
I hella disagree with that. I feel like men are fucking suffering. There's so many average looking dudes. Like, dude, you're with a dude who's fucking model status. You know?
Yeah.
Like, for example, me, I'm a virgin, right? And then I'm a virgin and I look like shit. So, you know, I can't get any girls. There's a lot of dudes that are like me. You know? So...
Okay.
you know, like you're saying that it's easier for men to sleep around.
I don't think it's easier or harder for
That's
anyone.
the top men, though.
Okay, but I mean, everyone can look at my husband now and be like, yeah, he's model status. But I was also with someone for 4 years who was fat and short.
Yeah, so
and uglier
fat
than
and
me.
short and loves hentai and all that. So do you think he could still sleep with girls by not doing shit?
Yeah, now he's got a fat girlfriend. So they're both fat together.
So does he actually like anime and hentai?
I don't know. He's Mexican and Puerto Rican, so I don't know.
Okay, so you think that... Okay, disregarding him, like let's look at it on a statistical basis, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Statistically, do you think the ugly guy could get like an ugly girl?
I think statistically now, an uglier guy would have a higher chance than a hotter guy who has a high body count. Because
that's bullshit.
Because listen,
you gotta be careful.
You have to think about it this way. Like, if I had to choose between a dude who's only ever fucked one girl and a dude who's fucked 50 girls, I'm gonna pick the dude who's fucked one girl.
Well, girls still go for the guy who fucked like 50 girls, you know? So
because those are the women that have lost respect for themselves because they agree to be with men who also don't have respect for themselves.
It's not that they lost respect. I think it's because like those are the top guys that know how to talk to women and they like the vibe.
Nathan didn't know how to talk to me at all.
Yeah, right. I mean, you guys got
and Logan doesn't know how to talk to women either. He's so rude to women. That's why most people think that he's an asshole because he doesn't know how to talk to women. He still gets girls, right? Because of his girlfriend.
So it's all because of his girlfriend. That's why
his girlfriend goes on dating apps to literally find girls for him to sleep with.
Yeah, but
Logan doesn't do the work on his own.
He still did the work on his own to get that girl to help him get
but
other
that's
girls,
because
right?
she used to be a hoe and she has like 4 times my body count and nobody wanted to be with her after that. So he started dating her so that her value wouldn't decrease even more.
Yeah, so I mean it's still harder for guys to get girls because he has to get a girl to help him get other girls, right? So then
I think that even an ugly dude who's like hitting on like a girl that is seriously a hoe, that he could still get some.
An ugly dude.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, you're capping.
Because
No way.
even girls that like, because here's the thing, even with these days with these guys who won't be with women who have a high body count, what are all those girls doing? They're going for guys that are less than hotter dudes. Because,
No, I see them go for like hot dudes.
But they
or
don't
dudes
want
that are
them.
fuckboys.
But they don't want them.
They probably go for the simps or the dudes that have like low body count as like a long-term basis, but they're not happy with them physically and sexually.
I don't think they would be happy with a man that is hot and has a high body count either.
Yeah,
though.
that's why they just use those guys for sex. But that's why they give sex to those hot dudes. That's what I'm saying. Those top dudes that are hot and know how to talk to girls, they're able to have sex easy.
I think only
then-
hoes focus on what dudes look like.
I mean,
If you're only focusing on the outer layer, then I guess.
I mean, I still disagree with that. I mean, dude, like my hot friends or tall friends on Hinge, they get hell.
What is up with tall? Why when did height become a thing?
I see their prompts. Their prompts are like nothing perpetually deep at all. Nothing profound.
I've asked Nathan, like, if you saw me outside, what would you say to me? And he's like, oh, I'd probably just start talking about like your drink or something. And I was like, dude, if you did that, I'd probably think you're a weirdo. Because why are you talking to me?
Okay,
you know?
that's proof though. He doesn't know how to talk, and he still is able to get you because of looks, right?
No.
So isn't that kind of contradicting? Because
But
you
I
went
didn't
for-
date him because of how he looked. I dated him because I saw potential. If Nathan stayed with AOC and continued on his path of having this personality of thinking all women are hoes and relationships aren't worth anything and he should fuck all these girls, I would not have married him.
Okay.
No matter how hot he looked. If he was a model and he made all this money, I still wouldn't marry him because he has that personality.
So what really attracted you was just your guys' history together,
Our
like,
conversations,
emotional
you know?
connection.
Everything that happened offline, like we literally had like the deepest of conversations.
Correct. And so I think a guy who doesn't even look that good could have a deep conversation and be a long-term boyfriend for this girl, but the guy who fucks all these girls is the guy who's like a douchebag and a guy who just knows how to get girls by just talking to them in a way that would have short-term sex. So that does kind of prove my point in a little bit. Like, that's why you're still with this guy.
I think
because-
to an extent, yes. Like it is harder for hotter guys to be in long-term relationships, and
Correct.
it's harder for uglier guys or less handsome-looking dudes to have sex. right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think it just takes. I think uglier dudes who have long-term relationships, it takes them a little longer to be able to have sex with a woman than it would for a hotter man.
But what does that essentially translate to? Because if a guy's able to have sex less, then he's able to have less relationships, less opportunity to relationships. That's why you see all these simps who are always on Twitch. They can't get girls. They can't get a relationship, right? But then you see all these, and we talk about it all the time. Like, this is a common complaint within men. We all say that the ugly chick, she could still get a dude that's like average looking because her standards are higher and she has more access to sex. So with more access to sex, you have a higher probability of turning that into a relationship, right?
Do you believe that sex leads to a relationship?
I believe it has a higher probability. I don't think it leads to a relationship.
Who do you think has the higher chance of being in a relationship? An uglier man or a hotter man? Like a long-term healthy relationship?
I think a hotter man, actually. But like for longevity, I think a uglier looking dude. Like, it might be a little bit contradicting what I said, right? But like what I said earlier, what I meant is that uglier looking dudes, they have more sustainability. Okay. So they have a higher probability of turning this into like a marriage. But to have access to that, it's a little bit harder for them to do. So I think what you're talking about is like the top 3% of males. It could be top 3% in terms of looks or personality or all of it together or just like money. And those are the dudes that have more access to sex, and sex, I think, gives you more opportunities for a relationship. I mean, those relationships could fail. And I think that simps provide the most stability. Simps or ugly looking dudes, they provide the most stability for relationships to turn into like a marriage. But
I think women are the problem.
So women are the problem.
I think women are the problem because women who are hoes are gonna be willing to have sex with anybody and everybody, right?
Correct, but not all women are hoes. So,
exactly. And the women that are not hoes are more likely to be in relationships with those guys that are nicer, those guys that have more respect for themselves, and those guys that are not out fucking anybody and everybody.
mm-hmm. But when you say like women are hoes, like you talk about it like as if a lot of women are hoes, but actually,
because I feel like these days most women don't have standards for themselves. They don't have respect for themselves. They see the opportunity to get with a man and all of a sudden they lose all respect for themselves. Now it's like how everybody sees me on this podcast is, okay, Nathan changed me, right?
Yeah.
I changed my hair color. I stopped wearing makeup. I stopped dressing like this. When in reality, I was never a hoe. I changed my hair color because I wanted to. I still have my piercings. I still wear makeup. Like I have certain standards and certain respect for myself that I'm not gonna, no matter what man it is, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, you can control what I wear. You can control what I say. Like, obviously there's boundaries, right?
Correct.
But having a good respect for yourself and certain standards is like, okay, I'm not gonna let a man think that he can have ownership over me and control everything that I do and that I say.
Yeah.
So
I don't kind of see the point with this, with how men or women have easier access to dating.
Because women who have more respect for themselves have higher access than men that go out and fuck everybody. They have women who respect themselves and are not out fucking everybody have more access to healthier long-term relationships than men that don't. Because men who are hotter have more relationships, right?
But given that there's like top 3% of dudes, those are the guys going out to fuck everyone. What is considered the top 3%? It could be like what I said, like finances. It could be like personality. It could be like the way they're getting girls. It could be that method of, okay, let's just say top 3% of men are the fuck boys. They fuck a majority of women, okay? Mm-hmm. So assuming that, like, these fuckboys are just fucking all the women, but you're classifying these fuckboys as a majority of men in society, when in reality, percentage of men that don't fuck and just want and respect themselves is 97% of men out there, just as an example. Okay. Because I believe that not a lot of men are out there fucking girls all the time. I think it's just the guys you're probably coming across. So I mean, in that sense, it makes it look like men have easier access to sex. But if we look at just like these normal dudes or just subpar dudes, subpar from like the top 30%, they still have a lot of trouble with dating because not a lot of women want to consider them. They want to go for these dudes that not necessarily fuck boys in their eyes, but have quality traits that they want. But a lot of women are going for those dudes. They're not giving a chance for these normal dudes. And why I'm just trying to say this is because I think a lot of women are not really aware that they're going for all these dudes who have already fucked a lot of girls, and they make it seem like that it's like, oh dude, all these guys are all fuckboys. But in reality, it's like you're not giving a chance to like the dude that would be loyal to you, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I understand that.
Went on a fucking tangent with that.
No, I think you're right.
Okay. Oh shit. You didn't see anything, right?
Nope.
Fuck. Oh, okay. Holy shit. Oh. All right, let's get into the next video.
But with this day and age, everyone says that it's okay when guys do it, but not when girls do it.
Okay, so you're talking about like the double standard.
There is a double standard with that.
Wait, so you object to the double standard, or you just acknowledge it exists?
I object with the double standard.
Oh, so you think, when you say double standard, do you mean like a guy who has a high body count who wants a girl with a low body count, or do you mean guys are applauded if they sleep with a lot of women, whereas women are shamed if they sleep with a lot of men?
With both, but
Okay, do you remember this part?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure you were not capping here. You're telling the truth. Like, you really think that there's a double standard with the body count thing. Like, women are hoes if they sleep with a lot of dudes, but men are praised for sleeping with a lot of women. Do you still believe that, right?
Yeah, I think that's true.
You think that's unfair?
Yeah.
Why is that unfair?
Well, because like I said earlier, like Nathan had a high body count and he didn't appreciate, our sex life as much as he would have if he didn't have a high body count.
Mm.
But when it comes to, you know, women, everybody thinks that if we have a high body count that we don't produce oxytocin anymore, that we can't have a real relationship with anybody, that we can't, you know, give our all to a man because we have a high body count. I think that it matters for both, and I think that guys shouldn't expect women to, you know, have a certain standard if they aren't holding themselves up to that certain
It's
standard.
contradicting because you also believe that men look at sex from a logical standpoint. They don't have emotions, and women have emotions, so they're very emotional when it comes to sex. So given that fact, then when you say that it wouldn't really matter to men when they have sex with a lot of women, and actually they could still produce that, what you said, oxytocin for women when they have that sexual bond or emotional connection, like they're able to have emotional connection even though they've had sex with a lot of people. Right? So
Yeah.
I caught you. Gotcha.
No. I don't
No?
think so. No.
I'm bullshit. I got
I
you.
think that it's unfair because, like I said, everybody thinks like women that are hoes that have this high body count can't produce the same way in a relationship. Whereas men, obviously, you know, with me living that real life situation, that men with high body counts can also not produce the same in the relationship. I don't think it's right for, you know, a woman to sit here and tell a man, like, I want you to only have fucked like 2 girls. I think that it's based off of your relationship and how you build it with each other. Like,
Well,
if you're...
I'll say it like this. I have given a girl who has had a high body count a chance. And I don't think all girls who have high body counts are hoes. So I'm different from like the general populace. But I think what these other guys are trying to say is that it's like because women have higher access and easier access to sex, that's why if she does this, then it's hoey behavior. Because she has a higher access, and a woman, even if she has higher access, she's still virgin, then that's higher quality than a woman who has high access and still fucks all these guys.
So what about a dude?
A dude is different because, as I said, it's harder for a man to have sex with women. You have to be like the top 3% of dude to really get a lot of hinge likes.
Since when did sex turn into a status thing?
It's not a status thing, but it's like what I said earlier. It's how you talk to women. It could be your finances. It depends what the woman wants. If she's a gold digger, finances are going to make you the top 3% man.
So
If
you think because it's harder for a man to have access to sex, that it makes it okay for him to have a high body count and want a woman that has a low body count?
I'm not saying that it's okay. As I said, I think that I look at it from a very equality standpoint. I'm just trying to speak out for my fellow men out there who believe this. Okay. So I think that these guys are saying this because it's the women out there who have high access to this. If they're easily able to do this, then it's a little bit fucked.
But look at it from a woman's perspective, right? So men will be like, oh, I don't want a woman with a high body count. But men that are also in relationships with women will use sex against them. Like, they'll be like, hey, if you don't have sex with me, I'm not going to take you seriously. If you don't have sex with me, like, women are most of the time, or a lot of the times, manipulated into
It's a loophole.
having sex.
Yeah.
And so it's not even majority of the time women being like, oh, I want to have sex, I want to go out and I want to do this. It's most of the time being men manipulating women into feeling the need that they have to have sex in order to prove themselves to a man that they really want to be with.
Yeah, even though they don't want to increase their body count, but then they're
Exactly.
pressured.
But it's all pure pressure, and it's mostly from the men's side. Like, you don't see a woman going to a man being like, hey, if you don't have sex with me, like, I'm not taking you seriously, right?
Yeah.
And maybe like there's a 1% chance that happens with like a girl, like you said, with an uglier dude, where it's like, like, I'll have sex with you if you do this, I'll have sex with you if you do that, right? Because obviously the only thing over his head is sex. He's uglier, he's like, I want to have sex. But most of the time women are manipulated into that situation. So it's not fully women's fault when they have high body counts. But I feel like for men, like you said, because it is harder access, that means the guys that do have a higher body count are actively trying to always have sex.
But the whole thing with the double standard, I feel like you said that men don't have emotional connection with these girls, so wouldn't it just not matter if he has a higher body count? That's just a lot of
But
women's
it does
standards.
matter though, because like I said, when you have a routine of doing something so often, right? And then all of a sudden it changes, you're going to go back to that routine.
Correct. It's a credit
right?
report.
So
like
you
I said.
have sex with a woman who you really like. It's still not going to feel the same because you're so used to having sex with women that you don't care about, that you don't want to be with, that your emotional standpoint on it is going to automatically turn off. So while you're having sex with her, although you do care about her and you do want to be with her, the only thing you're going to feel is like, okay, it's just sex. Like, I don't care. Because it's such an often thing. So say you're a dude with a fucking 60 plus body count, right? And you have this one woman. You really think that all of a sudden his mind is going to turn on and he's going to start thinking emotionally about it? No, because he's so used to just hooking up with girls that he doesn't give a fuck about. And that's why it makes it harder for him to understand from an emotional standpoint, because it takes longer. So in the beginning, she's over here feeling like shit because she's like, he's not really into it. He just sees it as sex. He just wants to fuck. And it takes a lot longer. And that's how it was for me and Nathan. It took him a while to finally start understanding that it means something different than it would with all 40 of those other girls that he used to have sex with.
Correct. And I've seen that before. I've seen women have standards where if they know my body count, obviously, if you haven't caught on, I'm not a virgin. But like, I have this, I have a fucking history too of being a fuckboy. And once they find that out, it's actually done more harm than good. And I feel like women are able to have that standard, sure. But then I think societally speaking, like a lot of men, I probably don't agree with this, but I feel like a lot of men, and just looking at it from a logical standpoint, because men do not have sex with women with that much emotional connection. Well, it depends like who he has sex with, right? Because he doesn't really have that emotional part when he has sex, I think that double standard is justified. Even though I'm okay with it. I'm okay with like my girl, if she has like a high body count, I'm okay with it. As long as she proves to me like she can be loyal to me. Obviously, it's going to be a lower credit rating. It's going to take me a lot longer to trust her. And which it has happened before. But I'm not going to completely weed out this girl from being a potential partner. But what I'm trying to say is that from a logical standpoint, and what these men are trying to say is that because men are able to look at it from a logical standpoint and just have sex without emotions, then the standard is a little justified. It's kind of like, is it okay for a man to ask for a woman to cook and clean?
On what terms? Like they're just dating and he's like, can you cook and clean?
They're dating.
And he doesn't help?
Yeah. He wants her to be like the caregiver.
If she's working, then yeah, that's wrong. If she's working and he expects her to do all of that while she's also working and he's also working, but he's not helping, then yeah, that's wrong. Because how do you expect her to do everything by herself? Yeah. And then men complain because they're like, she has a bitchy attitude. She's always upset. She's irritated. She's frustrated. She's mad at me. And it's like, well, I wonder why. You have her doing all these tasks all alone while also going to her job and working. Okay.
And you also mentioned that you want a man to pay for you on the first date, right? Mm-hmm. You still believe that? Okay, so
well, dating's out of the picture for me, so you can't ask me that.
I know.
I'm married.
So with all these intact, wouldn't you believe that this is a double standard then? I mean, double standards are just a thing in society. I think it's...
I'll say this, and I'll contradict myself right now, but I think when it comes to a first date, if he has asked me out and he picked me up and he planned everything, and I'm also working, I think it depends on who makes more money, right? Who is more successful in life. And because like if I'm working at Dollar Tree and I'm making $8 an hour and I only work like 3 days a week and I still have bills to pay, okay, I can't afford to pay for a date. Why does he owe you
anything when you guys are not boyfriend girlfriend?
Because I said if he invited me and he wants to do all these things and it wasn't my idea, and I let him know beforehand, like, hey, I don't have that much money.
Yeah, but you see the problem here is that 9 times out of 10 is the guy that asks the girl out on a date. Mm-hmm. Statistics.
And then he plans it, and then so what if I sit here and I say, okay, I don't make a lot of money, and he's like, well, I want to plan a date, and I'm like, okay, but I told him I don't make a lot of money, and he chooses a place that's super expensive. Then what?
Well, I mean, then he should pay for the date if it's super expensive. And he's picking all this shit. But if it's like standard, like McDonald's, I'm sure you could afford that, right? I'm sure most people
that's
can
why
afford
I said
that.
like I think coming down to it, like realistically speaking, in this economy in California, that it really depends like on how much each person is making. Like if you had just got paid and you have a few bucks to share, cool.
That doesn't make sense because I've seen broke dudes. They ask a girl on a date, he still has to pay for the date. Like girls still expect.
Well, why is he asking her on a date where they have to spend money? There's free dates, like you guys could go to the park. You guys
because
could,
a lot of girls
the
have
beach.
these high standards. Like you have to take me out onto like a.
Well,
nice
then I feel
restaurant,
men
or,
should
like,
have more respect for themselves, not to go for a woman who just wants materialistic things.
if they don't, then their options are very highly dwindled.
But it's the same thing for men that go and look for, women that don't have, like, how do you, coming from a man who sits here and expects a woman not to have a job, right? And not to work, how are you going to complain that you have to pay on the first date if that's the type of woman that you want?
Let's say it's not that. Like I'm concerned about the broke boys. The broke boys who have trouble going out on dates, and there's these women that expect these things, like you have to take me out to like a nice restaurant. Obviously, no guy would ask a girl out to McDonald's. I'm the outlier because I'm fucking weird,
Nathan took me to
I have
Cant.
balls.
I told you, like, it's fine. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's how you learn to, pick out the good from the bad. Like, here's the thing, it's a real test. That is like a real test.
But
asking
that's what I'm
a woman
saying,
on a date.
because it's getting higher and higher where like there's this expectation like you have to take me out to something better than McDonald's. I'm not saying all women are like that. I've been on a lot of dates with women who are very down to earth.
Yeah.
But I fear for my fellow men out there because they're going on dates with these girls and those girls are only down for them to take her out on like an expensive restaurant. And so that's hard for this broke guy who's also ugly possibly to have a successful relationship. And this girl, if she's just average and not even model status, I mean, it's extremely hard if the standards are getting higher. And I say this because my personal experience 10 years ago using Tinder versus using Hinge now, it's pretty fucked. Like the standards that women, they want a super high guy and then high value, like as in 3%, top 3%, right? What we said. But also they're not even that good looking. Like before you would have like 10 years ago when I was on Tinder, when Tinder was a thing, you would have like pretty good looking girls who were down to earth. Now all the good looking girls want, not all, sorry. Majority of good looking girls would want you to take her out to like a nice restaurant and would want you to be making like at least 100K. I'm not saying I don't do that. It's just, that's the problem we're facing as men.
I think dating is fucked on both ends because men want all these things from a woman and women want all these things from a man. When it comes to going out on a first date, like, do men even want to go on a first date anymore? Is it even like a thing where men want to take women on dates?
You think they just want to fuck because it's the fuck boys that you're going out with.
No, I see it as like any guy, like, do they want to put, it's about the effort. Like, do they see any effort or any, what the fuck is it called? I don't know. Any good in like going out on a first date? Like, do they see any potential in that? Like, sometimes it's awkward. Sometimes it doesn't even work out. Sometimes, you go on a first date and then it turns into, okay, well, now we have to go on a second date. Now we have to go on a third date. Okay, when are we just gonna, like hang out and like go out somewhere?
And fuck.
Like, it's really like, I think it goes based off of, the expectations that you give in the beginning. If you're asking a girl on a date, right, and you're like, okay, well, I want to go out to eat. Well, now she has this expectation of you taking her to a restaurant and building up all these things. But if you're like, hey, I actually want to go to the beach with you, or hey, I actually want to, go to the park and have a picnic with you. That's a lot. That's setting the expectation.
Yeah, a lot of men are down for that.
I think the one problem too is men holding themselves to a certain standard, which I know is very controversial because women will be like, men hold us to this certain standard. Yeah. I think if you are a man who is 20, 21, 18, 19, younger than 30, and you're still trying to get your life together, that it's going to take a long time for you to find a woman that is okay with you still building up your life. Isn't, very hard to find those women that are not full of themselves. And this is coming from a woman. Like, a lot of women are full of themselves. A lot of women, will go out and be like, I want rich men and I want nice cars. And
I feel like that might be the root of the problem, though.
That is. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the problem. Is women want all these things from men.
But you said that men want a lot of things from women, though.
They do.
Right?
Like I said, the low body counts. You know, they don't want the makeup. They don't want, you know, like a masculine woman that has to take care of herself and stuff. But it's like, what do you expect from a woman who's also had problems in dating, who has been forced to, you know, she's an adult. So obviously not a lot of us are taken care of by our parents anymore. We've had to learn to be independent. We've had to learn to protect ourselves and, you know, get a job and work. And a lot of men have a problem with those masculine women, but it's like, we haven't found a man.
Not really. No, not a lot of my friends, like what I said before. Like a lot of my friends, like from different backgrounds, different personalities, they all want girls who work.
But I mean on a masculine, like the dudes who consider like masculine, like, right? Like say a girl who, what do they consider masculine? Like they argue with you, they stand up for themselves, they debate, like, you know,
they have a problem with like almost every single thing. No, more things than the usual, and they have opinions that are. It's good to have opinions. I think it's very boring if you have no opinions, but it's a problem when your opinions become like confrontational. And I feel like women would challenge that. I've actually had women challenge me on that before and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? I hate when men say that. But I'm like, no, it's very basic. You don't want someone who's a robot, but you also want someone who keeps your peace. It's very standard. It's very normal.
Okay, so what is considered keeping your peace? Because I've heard men say like, I want her to be my peace. I want her to be my peace.
All right, here's one very extreme example. I had a girl come over and then she just fucking spilled alcohol over my carpet, and I was like, oh shit, because you know my parents, you know, they're like, they would trip out. They'd be like, how come it smells like alcohol? And then so once she spilled, I was like, oh fuck, my life is over. So I went to go quickly get some towels and soak that shit. She's like saying, why'd you react like that? Like, I just don't like how you reacted like that. That's confrontational. It's like, what the fuck? You're trying to make my house your house?
Did she spill on accident or on purpose?
She spilled on accident. But then the biggest problem is not like, okay, yeah, you spill on accident. I'm not going to fault you for it. But I was very shocked by that act. I wasn't like, oh fuck you, you did this. How'd you fuck up? I'm gonna die. I was like, I'm gonna die from my parents. But she treated it like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you so OCD? And she's like, vaping in my room, and you know, like my rule with vaping, it's fucking my pad, not your pad. And then she would go like, I just feel like being here, I can't do anything. And when you have a problem like that, where you turn other people's fucking house into your house, you're controlling. It's not even confrontational, you're controlling. And that's the problem. And confrontational, controlling, whatever it is.
She doesn't sound controlling. She sounds stuck up.
She's very stuck up.
Yeah, that sounds more like someone who's stuck up. I feel like controlling is more like, as a woman, telling like a man, like, you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't go here and you can't talk like that and this and that. Like, I can be very controlling at times when it comes to like certain situations, such as.
That's toxic for me though. Like, if you tell me I can't go certain places,
exactly.
I mean,
like,
if you tell me I can't fuck girls, that's understandable. But
right?
That's
you would
sense.
think so, huh?
Yeah. But then if you tell me I can't go to certain places to network with guys because you want quality time with me, when I've already given you quality time the whole fucking weekend. I've had clingy girls like that, where I give them a whole week, and then I'm like, I gotta hang out with the boys, and then she's like, you're not gonna take me. That's fucking controlling, and I feel like that's confrontational. Even though that is very feminine, where you want to spend as much time, I just feel like that's problematic. That's the opinionated problematic.
I think that I can be like that at times, but I'm only like that when it comes to who he's hanging out with. Like, if he's, like I said, if he's hanging out with like guys like Logan who are like, hey, I know you have a girlfriend, but do you want to come hang out with me and all these other girls and just me and you?
Yeah, that's
like,
a problem.
You know, like,
that
that's
a potential
problem.
issue. Yeah.
And that's when I'll be like, I don't want you to put yourself in that position. I don't want you to, you know, disrespect our relationship like that.
Yes.
But when it comes to like certain things like that girl saying like, oh, I can't vape in your room, like, who are you to tell me what to do type of thing? Like, that's more being stuck up and being entitled.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but that's the kind of girls we don't want, because those are the girls that are so problematic, and then they would just make our peace of mind, our peace just diminished. But we also don't want the girls who are just like, well, me personally, I'm sure maybe some guys, I think Brian said that. He was like, if a girl had no personality and she just kept my peace, then it's fine, right? And I was like, no, I disagree with that. I want someone who actually has aspirations, not a fucking brainless mind and just doing jack shit. You know, I want someone who actually has opinions, that's very supportive and has aspirations. It's not much to ask for. It's just,
dude, I don't even know how you could live your life with like a woman who can't think for herself.
Exactly,
like you're gonna be like, hey, can you give me that water bottle over there? She'd be like, huh? That
yeah.
Like you're like, oh, what do you want to eat? She's like,
that's
eat
stupid.
What?
That's just plain stupid at that point. But
that's how those girls are. They play dumb because they think it's cute. They're like, oh, what's that? Like I told you, like I guess that's how Logan's girlfriend is. She brought her car over, right? And there was a nail in the tire. And I'm like, where do you get your tires changed? You know, like you can probably get a free one if it's not at the full mileage, right? She's like, what? I get my tires at a couple different places. I always get them at different places. And I was like, okay, so what are you going to do? Are you going to go get it plugged? She's like, I'm just going to drive it. It's fine. I was like, what?
No, that's
like,
just stupid.
What do you mean?
That's not no opinions. It's just
like,
stupid.
Ma'am, what are you talking about? If you don't go change your tires, like,
okay,
what?
stupidity also contributes to not having a peace of mind.
But that's also the women who are like, who don't want to think for themselves, who don't have a voice. Those women are stupid.
Yeah, stupid is a different story from no opinion and fucking very opinionated, whatever. Okay, well, I think we probably can't come to a conclusion with that, but we will just move on from this, all right, and play the next video. You don't think this is sexually gratifying men?
No, the only person that commented was a girl. I don't think that women should have no freedom to go online and think that they look good at something and claim that it's for attention.
Okay, are you gonna post him after this podcast?
On my TikTok? No.
Yeah, why not? He posted you on his TikTok. Come
if
on,
I
equality, right? Men
I
and women.
guess.